Hello everyone, this is GalahadB again. It's been a while, but finally time for another video. And today I am tackling a pretty difficult one because this is one of my longest games ever, and this is also why I'm finally going to do a video about it, because it's also my most epic game ever. And as you guys can see, maybe it's against probably the greatest player of all time, PeterM. Unfortunately, the game was played about a year ago. I did not ask Peter for his password, and I'm sure even if he would be willing to give it to me, he probably has forgotten all about it. But I think you can still have a look with just my password here. So I'm playing Shadow against PeterM, and yeah, I think this game is a good example to highlight a lot of very interesting aspects of the game. So yeah, let's have at it. It's a very long game, so I'll try and be somewhat quick about it. Let's see if I can manage to do that. So yeah, pretty normal start. I get 2 eyes against only 1 move on his side, so pretty good. I get my 2 masters to get Saruman. Perfectly normal start. Slightly better for me. But yeah, he gets a playable card, also nice. I do some standard movement. And so to see, nothing very exciting so far. He musters the north, which is interesting. I last year mustered the north first in almost all my games later on, and that was pretty successful. Nowadays, I'm not so sure if north is a good place to muster, but yeah, certainly something you do. Alright, so very standard turn 1, nothing special happening here. But now it gets interesting. So, yeah. The turn 1 was certainly a little in my favor. I got the better end of the roll there. And now look at this turn 2. I mean, yeah. No musters. Not even an army move. Just straight up characters. And he gets 3 wills and a character no fear of Day Without Dawn, because even if I had Day Without Dawn in hand, there's no way I can get the Southrons all the way to war. And so what do you do here as 3 people, right? I mean, it is turn 2, it's not turn 1. You would have preferred to get Aragon turn 1 if you were going to get him. But, I mean, like, I'm not getting anything done this turn, right? I mean, I have 3 characters, so I can move the Dagalad army up to Northern Ravanian, but that's about it, right? I can't really do anything else. Can't even attack, because Sauron's not at war. And you're not giving me a ring this turn, because you have 3 jokers in hand. So yeah, he does what I expect him to do, and he separates. Just Strident Boromir. So I think it's always interesting how many do you separate, right? I mean, I've seen games where 3 people basically separate everyone, and well, last year I thought that's a very bad idea. Now I'm not so sure. I mean, it depends on whether you roll a lot of musters, then it's good, or if you roll a lot of characters, and then it's not so good, at least early on. But you don't know that the point where you split off. So I've seen 3 people split off many companions early on and still be fine. I've seen them just split Strider and nobody else, and also do a good job. And I've seen them split Strider and Boromir to good effect. So yeah, it really depends. So yeah, they go for Minister. It makes a lot of sense. I can attack them. So normally in this position, if I have 3 attacks and I can threaten to put Minister on the siege, I would be very hesitant to move Aragon into Minister, because it means he might get trapped there or has to abandon Minister and gift the Shadow 2 free victory points. But since Sauron's not at war, there really is no risk of that happening. So yeah, you're safe in Minister. But I do pressure it because I really don't like having an open stronghold against 6 free people dies, which will happen shortly. At least I think it's going to happen shortly. So yeah, I tried to attack the most threatening areas, which is Lorien. Like, Lorien's not so threatening right now, but like if this army from Dol Guldur moves up north and empties up, then Lorien can pressure Dol Guldur, and it's pretty likely that like there's gonna be a companion in Lorien at some point. Like either Gandalf and Fangorn or Hobbit, getting kicked out of the Fellowship or whatever. So, like, if I just let this army sit there, it's a little dangerous. Unless I just leave Dol Guldur where it is all game. But I mean, I also do want to pressure getting to 10 victory points at some point, right? So it makes sense to attack Lorien. And then obviously Gondor, because I'm fine with them mustering up in Dol Amroth. That will slow down my military, but it also means, like, I mean, if he musters leads in Dol Amroth, they are not gonna conquer anything anytime soon. So I have a lot of time to react, and so I'm not that scared. Especially if I take Pelargir and or Skilyath, then it's gonna be very difficult for Dol Amroth army to pressure anyway, because they have to punch through 1 or 2 fortifications along the way. That's not the place you want to be in as free people. But Minas Tirith is a different matter. So yeah, very bad turn 2 for Shadow, but it's still fine, right? I mean, yeah. But then turn 3 happens, and it's basically more of the same. So this time I roll slightly less ice, and instead roll more Palantirs. But I mean, we're not at a stage of a game where I can make a lot of good use out of the Palantir. And again, I mean, I have one single attack, so I can get Sauron to war and then attack once. So it's not enough to put Minas Tirith under siege. I can't do that. And I don't have anything in my hand that allows me to attack again, so I can't do that either. So yeah, this is not the type of roll I was hoping for. I was hoping for at least 2 attacks so I can put Minas Tirith on the siege, and I was hoping for 2 musters so I can get the Witch King, and I got neither of those. So very, very bad news for me. And he got another pretty nice roll. I mean, I don't know, you want 2 character dice, but you definitely like to see 2 wills at this stage. And Palantir is probably also useful to him because he still has Gandalf as guide. So yeah, he thinks for a while, and he gets the perfect card as well, Thermis Rangers. Perfect timing. And yeah, and he even asked me, that does not move Sauron on the political track, right? And no, it does not. It's not an attack. It's just a card effect. It's like Dreadful Spells attacking like Lorien or whatever over the Nazgul is not an attack either. So he gets no hits, but I mean the more annoying part is the free recruitment. Oh, interesting, and he chooses not to draw with it. So I think he was aware he could have drawn, but I mean if you're not planning on playing 2 more cards this turn, you would have to discard cards, and like usually it's correct to always draw if you have the choice to draw. But if you suspect that a game might go very long, then I believe it's correct not to overdraw unless you have uses for the other cards this turn. Because if you overdraw, you just waste the card forever, and you will likely run out of cards, and then you regret having wasted them earlier. So in a normal game where Fellowship is rushing and Shadow Military is putting on pressure, you would not skip a draw. But if you see it's going long, then yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense to draw. And one of the reasons I'm so frustrated is I really don't want to draw cards right now because I suspect it's going to be a long game. Like Peter on 5 dice, he will get a 6th die this turn, I'm pretty sure. I mean, he can move the Fellowship 3 more times and then get Gandalf. Or just straight up separate him. And I'm not making any progress. Like, I have one big army, and it's squaring off against the most powerful stronghold you can have, pretty much. Yeah, not looking that good. So, but I think I still made a mistake here. It's probably correct to muster Sauron to war first, and then as soon as possible attack Asgiliath. Um, actually, maybe that's not correct. So the thing about Asgiliath is it's a fortification, and that means if he gets control over Asgiliath first, then I'm in trouble because I can never really attack it, right? If there's a giant army in Asgiliath and I attack it, I only hit on 6s, he might score 4 hits. And then do you want to press against that as Shadow? I don't think so. And especially in the first round of combat against 6s, he doesn't really have to play a card to defend against me because it's unlikely for me to hit. And if I play something like Desperate Battle, then he'll just score 5 hits against me, and I'm expected only about 2.5 hits. And so if I press then, I only have like, 6 hit points remaining. And if he then plays like Brave Stand, I will at max score 1 hit, and he can score another 3 or 4, and then I'm left with 3 hit points or so. So I'll put the Witch King in jeopardy if he's with that army. So that's not very comfortable. On the other hand, if I'm in Asgiliath first, then he has to attack into the fortification, and that's gonna cost him. And then I can stay in for a little longer. Like I can stay for 2 rounds of combat and then maybe retreat. And then since he attacked, then I can move the Witch King to safety or reinforce that army or whatnot. So Asgiliath is very important. Another thing to note is that if there's a giant army in Asgiliath and I attack it and then press, then he can retreat. And you have so many areas you can move to out of Asgiliath that it's just such a danger. The flip side is if I attack Asgiliath now, then he might just retreat to Dead Marshes. I mean, there's no reason to move them into Minas Tirith right now, right? Minas Tirith is as buff as they can be, and from Dead Marshes, they can just march at an empty Morannon, or Dol Guldur, or even both. I mean, he doesn't have them at war right now, but I mean, with Boromir there, he can activate Boromir, bring them to war after I attack them, and with 3 more dice, yeah, he can get to 4 victory points this turn. So yeah, that's probably why I didn't attack Asgiliath first, saving the muster in case he tries anything. Ah, damn, yeah, it's a mess, really a mess. But yeah, I think it was correct not to attack Asgiliath because then he just wins the game. Yeah, I don't even have anything to defend. And with just that one army move, I can't even move this army back to Dol Guldur. Oh man. Yeah, it's rough. Ah, nice. Okay, so he now remembers, oh wait, I could have drawn a card from Gandalf and wants to have it. Okay, I'm not sure if that's correct. I'm happy to give it to him. So I hit him, and he can kill off Gandalf. So yeah, everything been good for him. So I can muster Sauron to war, though. I mean, I couldn't muster anything in Dol Guldur or Morannon if I don't have Sauron at war anyways, so there's no sense in not doing that. And I still have that army die, so I can move these guys back into the stronghold if need be. But yeah, since he's gonna probably manually bring Gondor to war, there's no need for me to defend right now. Since he has a Will of the West showing, I didn't want to play Palantir at that time, so I drew another card. Yeah, now he gets the jump on me, moves into Osgiliath before I get the chance to. And now look, right? I mean, that's a 10 HP army with 5 leadership, even with a Witch King. I mean, I'm not really comfortable attacking into Osgiliath at this point. Because, yes, if I press, I might get the upper hand in a long drawn-out battle, maybe. But he will probably just retreat to Dead Marshes, and then if he has, actually probably move to Eastern move first, or maybe even do for a day and a night if he has it. Yeah, it's just very uncomfortable. At this point, I'm thinking, damn, I can't really pressure garner anymore. That ship has sailed. Yeah, now I play Palantir, makes sense. And he tries to get rid of cards. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, the one good thing I have going for me is that Fellowship, having separated 5 hit points of companions and then lost Gandalf to 1, is on step 2 and only has 6 HP remaining in Fellowship. It's not looking good corruption-wise. So that's why he didn't move a second time here. Interesting, and now I play Hill Troll. So that's usually a mistake. Usually when you suspect it might be more of a military game, then Hill Trolls is the best card you can have as Shadow. And I'm not sure I agree with me playing it here. So I see I'm a little desperate to strengthen this army, because I want an army that can compete with this army in Osgiliath, so that if he ever leaves Osgiliath, that I have an army that can, attack him and whittle it down. And I need an army that's strong enough that it can survive 1 round of combat without me immediately fearing for the Witch King's life after that 1 round, so that I can press if I need to, and force him off a stronghold. So it makes sense to buff it up like this, but I'm showing him that I've just used the most powerful defensive tool. Why is it the most defensive powerful tool for the Shadow? Because it's pretty easy to punch through 5 hit points in a siege. So if he besieges Minas Morgul 5 hit points, then that's very easy for him to take. Like if he has something like Andural, that's 2 free hits plus an expected 1/6 on combat or reroll. So that would be 3 hits and just 1 round of combat. And then I'm left with 2 regulars. That's it. And one of the problems for Shadow defending the Sauron strongholds is you only have 6 Sauron elites. And if you place them down, then you will only have regulars defending strongholds, which is very weak, so you try to keep them in reserve and then only muster up if you know which stronghold he is likely targeting. But sometimes you don't really know which stronghold he's targeting because he has so many options. And in that case, if you overcommit elites in one stronghold and then he's going for another stronghold, then you'll lose the other stronghold. And the one card that can help you with that is Hill Trolls, because you can keep 2 elites the Force Pool, and then only play it once he's actually besieged a stronghold. And then if you had 1 elite there before, and then you played Hill Trolls, then you're suddenly up to 3 elites and up to 8 hit points. And 8 hit points with some Nazgul in there, that's a very tough nut to crack, even for a very strong Free People army. But yeah, now it's gone. I think, I don't know, not playing a card is probably also not a great idea, and Half-Orcs and Goblin Men is the second best card you can have, so yeah, not a very good situation, because that's the best elite that you can muster up anywhere. And crucially, it's not a Sauron elite, so you can really help out Sauron strongholds with an Isengard elite. Suddenly have 7 elites defending. But those are not the cards I want this early on, because what else am I gonna play? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was correct to just move armies along, like Nern to Golgoroth and Yaharat to Umbar or something. I don't really know. At this point, I'm very hesitant to move South Anduin Vale towards Lorien, because then I leave Dol Guldur completely open, so I can't do that. Yeah. It's a tough game. Alright, so that's what I do. I'm not sure it's a complete mistake, but I'm definitely thinking it might be. Interesting to hear your thoughts. Alright, yeah, at this point, I don't know. I decided to abandon the military game because I feel like I'm not winning that one. I will not be able to race him. And if I only have 1 single eye in there, he could potentially move 3 times, and then maybe even heal up in Lorien if he's not revealed or something. So what I'm thinking here is, if I don't put pressure enough on the Fellowship, then he can run pretty fast, and my military will be super slow. So he can definitely race me, and then either I'm somewhat successful in the hunt, and then he just heals up in Minas Tirith, or I'm not successful with the hunt because I don't roll enough eyes, and then he just rushes the Fellowship, and he'll probably still be fine because Gollum is such a powerful guide. And with a big hunt pool, with lots of standard tiles left, if I don't hit him enough, then it's going to be a pretty easy cakewalk on Mordor, probably. So I'm thinking, okay, put the pressure on to the Fellowship, because that's the one area where he's weak right now. And even though I know he can heal, with me putting a lot of ice and him as a reaction moving slow and then having to heal up, that's gonna cost him a lot of time. And as Shadow, you should win the long game, is what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm okay with that, right? Let him move slow, let him heal up, let him waste a lot of time, and let me slowly muster up super big armies, and then struggle him, towards the finish line, and hopefully have enough time to get to 10 victory points before he can dunk. Because that seems more likely than just putting 1 eye or 0 eyes and hope that I can race him with him having 6 dice. But I don't want to commit more than 2 eyes, because that would put me at less dice than him, and then the military game is just going to be a nightmare, and he doesn't have to move at all. So that's why I allocate 2, because I'm afraid of having just that 1 eye in the box, but I also don't want to have tons of eyes in the box. And now I roll 3 eyes. So at this point, turn 4, I'm +5 on eyes, +2 on characters, and -3 on musters. So that's really not what I wanted to see. That would be okay if he rolls only character dice, but he rolls a lot of wills, a lot of musters, and just that one single character die. So it's really, he's very high on wills, low on characters. So it's very good for this situation for him. But I couldn't have known that before, right? Even if I went with very low eyes and hadn't rolled any, then with 2 wills of the West, he could have still sprinted the Fellowship against very few eyes. So yeah, very, very, very tough going. So the situation is, he has 3 more dice than me. I have 3 empty strongholds in Dol Guldur, Morannon, and Barad-dûr. I mean, Barad-dûr is not really an option right now, but yeah, definitely the other 2 are Morannon and Dol Guldur, something I definitely need to be aware of. So I can't really attack anywhere, and he's gonna have the last say, and then go first next turn. It's not easy to defend against that. So my strategy is to just sit back, weather the storm, hope for better rolls in the future, and see what he does, and hope that he's going to take things slow, so I'm not immediately under any threat. And yeah, he musters the North Town. It's not a problem for me, because the Witch King hasn't come in, so he can't really get them to war easily. Yeah, he removes the Palantir. I mean, there's a debate whether you should remove Palantir in a situation like that, because I don't have a ring, I don't have a Palantir showing. But you don't know when you're gonna roll another Will of the West, and when I'm deciding to roll Palantirs, and since you don't have anything urgent to do, it makes sense to get rid of it now. Because as PeterM, or as a free people player here, you're thinking, okay, I can muster something to war, and then just muster up on next turn. But that gives me the opportunity to bring in the Witch King. And do you really want that, right? At this point, a viable strategy would be to just move the fellowship once per turn, muster up a ton, and then just be faster than my military, because that's going so slow, and going up against tough strongholds is just a nightmare for the Shadow if you don't roll well. So it makes sense to not bring anyone to war right now and just sit tight. And that's exactly what he's doing. Muster nobody to war, just quickly get everyone somewhat prepared so I have no easy opening. He moves once, I miss, which this is about, I don't know, 40% chance or something, maybe 30% chance. So it's okay. I mean, the roll is kind of taunting me, saying, "Yeah, not today," but that's okay. It was crucially step 3 though, so I would really, really love to get a hit here. But yeah, it's not to be. Um, yeah, and because I'm so scared of his double turn, I actually use my character die to move to Regulus and the Nazgul back into Dol. So you might say, what? That's crazy. But what else was I gonna do? Like, the only armies with leadership were South Indian Vale, North Athelion, and Minas Mogul. So Minas Mogul's not doing anything. No way I'm moving them out. And South Indian Vale really cannot go towards Dimrildale, because I don't know what I'll roll next turn. And then he has a beeline straight to Dol if I move these to Dimrildale, right? So I can't do that. Like, maybe what I can do is move a small army from South Indian Vale into Dimrildale and leave some guys as backup. But then, what's the point in even moving to Dimrildale if I'm not bringing a, somewhat strong army to battle the elves, right? Might as well stay home then. And like I mentioned in the previous 10, there's no way especially not without the Witch King, I'm not attacking Osgiliath, being with lower leadership than he is, and him having fighting advantage from the fortification. There's nothing for me to win in Gondor, I think. Besides, it would give him a free muster up, and yeah, that's really not where I want to be right now. And I don't have a playable character card. I mean, Dreadful Spells, really, with 2 Nazgul? No way. And Lidless Eye is useless right now, so yeah, the best I could think of. Yeah, moves Gondor once, makes sense. I play Stormcrow, because, yeah, I don't want to discard a card. I could have mustered some Sauron units, and I really wanted to get the Saurons closer to war, but I also didn't want Gondor to become involved faster than I want him. So I didn't want him to be able to muster them to war with his last action, muster up a ton at the beginning of the next turn. That's why I push them back. Even though it means Witch King might not even come out next turn. And now he musters Rohan down. No, he's not worried about Gondor. So he didn't move at all last turn. Actually, he did move once, yeah, so I have to allocate 1 anyways. And now I decide to try the same thing again, right? I mean, I'm not gonna roll 3 more eyes every turn. Like, I'm expected to roll 1 more eye. That would have been, yeah, somewhat okay. But I roll 3 more eyes again. But at least this time he gets a lot of characters. But now we're at a point where that's actually scary too, because he already has a strong army in Osgiliath, so he might use these character dice to just attack somewhere. And once again, I'm left with a single attack die. Yes, that one. Which means, if I use that for anything, then he could take Minas Mogul, and I'll just be sitting there looking at it. Like, actually, he can take Minas Mogul if I Okay, no, if I go to South Athelion, yeah, that's why I have this North Athelion army planted there, because if he moves Osgiliath to South Athelion, and I don't do anything, then with his last action he can besiege Minas Morgul, and then at the start of next turn, put it on the siege. Win the siege. Without me being able to react to it. Like, that's somewhat risky, because then you risk trapping Aragorn this early on in a stronghold that I can easily recapture. Maybe not easily, but that I can definitely recapture. That doesn't really make sense. Um, but it also, yeah, is a little risky, because then Bertha, Moran, and I8 be an option. So the bigger issue is that he puts Minas Morgul on the siege, and then instead of taking the siege battle next turn, he can attack into Gorgoroth. And if he gets 3 hits, then he has a giant army in Gorgoroth against 2 empty strongholds. I think that was the move I was very worried about, and why I hope I'll save this army master of my last action. Because it's the only thing I have to stop that, force him to fight my army. And if he moves to South Athelion, I can attack it then, or wait until he attacks Minas Morgul. But definitely, if he moves towards Minas Morgul, I need an attack before I give him a double turn. Okay, so he moves once. This time I hit him, and it's a 0 reveal, so that's not so bad. He moves through Moria. Makes sense, because this route gives you much better healing opportunities. Like, if you go the northern route, you basically only have Dale at a detour of 1, because if you want to go to Woodland Realm, which is the weakest stronghold in the game for the free people, then that's 2 extra steps, right? Because you need 1 extra step to go in there, and then 1 extra step to move out of it. Right, from Old Forest Road to Woodland Realm, and then from Woodland Realm back to Old Forest Road. So now you need 13 movement to Moran, and it's the most difficult stronghold to keep safe. And you have a good chance to draw an eye out here. But it's a 1, so I'm somewhat happy. And I have Morgul Wound, which is good. But it's not that good, because you can heal it off, because I'm so slow. But it buys me 2 more turns, and my plan is, like I mentioned earlier, take it as slow as possible, hope he's gonna accept that, really slow, heal a lot, and that I can make him either rush things in Mordor and give me a chance, or he doesn't rush Mordor, and I'll hopefully be fast enough to get the 10 victory points. Because things can move pretty fast later on if I stop rolling eyes and have 10 dice. So he continues with a plan of just getting everyone prepared. And yeah, and because Gunner's still 2 steps away from war, I don't really need to worry about him attacking Minas Morgul anymore, because he can move to South Athelion, but then with his last die and the first die next turn, he needs those to get Gondor to war. So yeah, at this point I'm not that worried anymore. And I want rerolls, yeah, that's why I moved these armies into Emerald Dale. And I don't get the Witch King, but that's okay. Means I don't have to discard a card. And now he gets his first nation to war on turn 5. And I'm still only at 8 dice. So once again, I allocate 2 eyes, thinking, okay, can't roll 3 eyes every turn. And this time it's only 2 eyes. But it's so brutal, right? I mean, every turn I have at least 2 dice less than the 3 people. And I'm not sure if I played that right or not. I mean, I put fewer eyes in there, then the fellowship would be much faster. I don't know. So yeah, now the elves are at war, he can muster up in Lorien. Which is scary. least I hit him, but I don't reveal him, and this is a very big problem. I really wanted to reveal here, so he can't heal in Lorien, which I'm not even sure if that's such a big thing, because then he can heal in Minas Tirith. I'm not taking Minas Tirith anytime soon, I don't think. Yeah, I wanted to bring in the Witch King here, but decided against it because I'm still very scared of what he might do. There's no real rush right here. I buff up Moria some. Strider to Rohan. So he can bring them to war. Which is scary because Orthang is not very well defended right now. And he has another end card. But yeah, crucially that whiffed, otherwise I would be in big problems in Orthang. So yeah, now I get the Witch King finally on turn 6. And Rohan is at war. But I have half Orcs and Goblin Men, so I'm not that scared right now. And his Rohan army is really not that strong. 2 end cards are gone, so should be okay. Yeah, he clears in Lorien as I expected. And now I decide, okay, he's acting according to my plan, taking things slow, taking a detour through Lorien, healing up there. If he stays there for only a single turn, I don't think it's worth it for him. Because if you take an extra step, just to heal 1 corruption, that 1 corruption might be gone because you have to move 1 more time. So I'm thinking, okay, this is the turn where I can start to allocate only 1 eye and then try and start to make some progress with my military. And yeah, this is probably his worst roll so far, but it's still pretty good, right? I mean, yeah. Because he can move out of Lorien and just heal up in Minas Tirith if he needs to. But if he has good uses for the characters, then also fine to sit there 2 more turns, 1 more turn. And yeah, he does try Orthang. And he does move once, and I reveal him. So okay, yeah. So the healing in Lorien was not really worth it for him. I feel good about me not allocating any more eyes. And him randoming into Gimli is also good for me. So suddenly he's at effective 0 corruption, 5 steps from Mordor. It's pretty good for me. So yeah, the plan here is to relieve Orthang with a counterattack from Moria. Because Moria is somewhat safe with the army sitting in Dimrildale. And he needs quite a lot of actions to reinforce the army in Orthang. But I'll be very slow. But I don't have anything else to do anyway, so might as well. About something. Alright, yeah, because I was gonna use my final action to attack this army anyways, so might as well do that with a character die and get a second move with my army master and pressure Erebor. That's the idea. Yeah. But he has... Well, actually, okay, yeah, he plays Book just to move and ask companions around. And I think he'll play Scouts, so that's why I play Swarm of Bats, but it seems like he doesn't have it. And I get 5 hits, so that's great. So Orthang is safe. And suddenly Rohan looks like a target. I mean, there's only 1 more lead left. The Rohan force pool. And if I can deplete Rohan, then stuff like Paths of the Roses won't be a problem anymore, which can be scary otherwise. Yeah, and now this turn, like he has 5 attacks, and I have 0 musters. That is extremely scary. Okay, so since no companion is in Fangorn anymore, and he already played 2 end cards, so it's very unlikely that he has another one. And because I'm getting a little desperate, yeah, well, I decided to pull the trigger right now and hopefully get something. But yeah, against 7 hit points in Rohan, I decide. Yeah, I think the main reason here is to get the rerolls on the Fellowship and trap Gandalf. I think that was the plan. Use the army master, gather these 2 armies in Path Celebrant, and then attack Gandalf and hope I can kill him. Fellowship moves before I get rerolls on them. I still hit them, so that's lucky. But now he has an extra Hobbit in there. Interesting. I don't use the army die. Oh, because I'm afraid that if I do that, he musters another lead in there. I attack. He scouts away to Timrildale and then takes Moria. Yeah, I think that was the fear here. And now he shuffles around, and suddenly I'm worried about ends again. It's still pretty early on. I expect this game to last quite some more turns. I don't really want to lose Saruman right now. And indeed, he does have ends. So I'm very glad that I pulled them back. Oof. I don't remember that I was this close to me losing Saruman. But I mean, it was very unlikely. With me having 3 regulars, the chances of him even having the 3rd end card was pretty low, and then it was only a 12.5% chance. I think those were odds that I needed to take, because I was so far behind. And he comments on that, well done leaving 3 guys behind. Yeah, I was super happy about that. Yeah, now I move back to Rohan, because now that Gandalf's no longer in Lorien, it doesn't really make sense to pressure that much, because with only 2 leadership and a very small elven force pool, I'm kind of okay if he attacks my strongholds that are somewhat defended already with the elves, because that means it opens up 3 strongholds that I can take later on. And Gunnar will be very difficult to take, and yeah, Rohan, this is also gonna be tough. I mean, there's no easy stronghold, right? The only easy ones are up here, but the Saffron's still not at war because I didn't roll any musters. And the elves are already at war, so it's just tough. But like I said, I mean, the game plan is take things slow, aim for corruption, and then hope either he moves too fast and get corrupted, because once he's in Mordor, he can't stop, or that he misjudges, plays it too safe, and him running out of time. So it's okay if I, grind my teeth in his strongholds, long as I make slow and steady progress. And the first turns were pretty rough for me, but I mean, finally I'm starting to make some progress. Very slow, but some progress. And I now know, Saruman's safe. No more ends. Raise to get rerolls. And pressure Rohan. And Aragorn. Like, I mean, I want this guy out of there. Allocate only one, because think I'll get one reroll, one more ice roll probably. It turns out I rolled 4 more ice, and I think at this point I'm plus 11 on ice. So I expected to have about 10 ice rolled, and I rolled 21. And I'm -3 on musters, -3 on hybrids, and -5 on armies. Yeah. And he's +5 on will still. So another very rough turn, right? I want to get Aragon out of there, then besiege Helm's Deep, muster up, get the Sovereigns to war. And yeah. Now I have a single attack again. Just one. He moves Aragorn, and yeah, now finally Gandalf shows up. So all this time I was thinking, okay, as long as Gandalf is not in Osgiliath, I might actually try for it if I have a good turn with lots of leadership and nothing I need to be scared of. But yeah, I mean this turn wasn't it with only a single attack. Definitely not the right time, and nothing to get leadership over there. Maybe last turn I could have tried it, but it felt too risky. And I had the plan of putting pressure on Rohan. Maybe I should have gone for Osgiliath then. But yeah, now it's too late. Now with Gandalf there, there's no way. At least not before I have Isengard elites coming to help out. So I have leadership even through Gandalf. So he moves, I hit him again with 3. And now, like, this is one of the strengths of Gollum. Like, if you know time is not an issue, you can just always reveal. Like, yes, there are 3 cards that punish you with Breaking and Lure of the Ring, but you're never in a worse spot than if you hadn't revealed, right? Because, like, if I have one of those cards, then yes, he'll take 1 extra corruption, but he saved the extra corruption because he hid. So it's corruption-wise, it's the same, but there's only 3 cards, right? So I can only do that 3 times, and he can always reveal unless it's an eye. So it's always beneficial if you have the time. And I already played one, right? Mogul Wound is gone, so I'm down to only 2 cards that can punish him for revealing. And crucially, him getting rid of the last companion means that if I ever get into Candles of Corpses, it's gonna be much less painful. And yeah, I do play it because what else am I gonna play? Right? Nothing else really makes sense. So I'm worried because I don't really want to use my corruption cards before he heals up. Because in my mind, I'm sure that he will try to heal in Minas Tirith. So I really want to save my corruption cards until after. Preferably until Mordor. But yeah, I mean, I'm not playing Nazgul Surge. I mean, I couldn't. I'm not playing Half Orcs and Goblin Men. That's one of my only remaining outs to relieve a stronghold under siege or reinforce a stronghold that I am besieging. And Dreadful Spells. I mean, it's playable now for hits, for dice roll, but I mean, none of these armies doesn't really make sense. It's the only reasonable play I think I have, so that's why I do it. Buys me 1 more turn. Yeah, now I'm debating, do I want to get rerolls in, but then he can just attack it out of Skiliath and just kills a unit and an Nazgul for free. Which costs me an additional die. So I feel like it's probably better to just move Nazgul there by hand without an army. And one thing I was thinking of was I had 10 units in Minas Morgul, and that's a little misleading because it looks like a strong army, but it really isn't. 10 regulars against this massive army do not stand a chance. Like, there's Brave Stance, which means I'll only roll a single die anyways. All my Nazgul leadership would be cancelled anyways. And the misleading thing is, like, you do one normal round, you know, Shadow gets one hit, maybe two, and three people gets like 3 hits. And now what do? Like, it's a giant army against 7 hit points. And suddenly you can't fight that anymore. Because if you risk another round of field battle, and they play Sun Strike with 5 leadership, and then they roll like effective 15 dice. Well, they can't score more than 10 hits, but they can definitely score 7. They can score 5 or 6 hits, and then you're left with 1 or 2 regulars in the siege. But if you retreat that army into siege, then Gorgoroth is empty. And all of a sudden, Bertha and Morannon become a big problem. And it's a siege against only 5 regulars, and I already mentioned how 5 regulars is not a very comfortable place against a pretty big army. So that's why I move the extra units into Gorgoroth, so that, there's a chance that if he attacks into Gorgoroth, they get to retreat in Bertha, at least some of them, and then I have another muster get an extra lead into Bertha, and I still have half orcs to get it up to full. Like, that's the plan. Do not leave Gorgoroth empty. That's the big thing. And yeah, finally he gets the North War, and now I'm thinking, like, okay, everyone's at war pretty much, aside from the dwarves, which I intend to bring to war with the Southrons if I ever have some spare musters, which have not been coming my way. Then I'll be able to get Mouth of Sauron. And since I expect him to heal up in Minas Tirith soon, I will have some time to make use of Mouth of Sauron before the Fellowship hits Mordor. Alright, it was getting really late. We were thinking a long time because it was a very complex game, so we had to pause the game. And so finally I have a somewhat workable roll, but again, very low on musters, and I'm really eager to get the Sartans. It's 10-10, and I haven't even mustered them once. I mean, there were like 1 or 2 turns where maybe I could have done that. Yeah, but I felt like I needed my very few musters to strengthen elsewhere. Like, I definitely needed help in Orthanc. And I definitely did not feel comfortable with nothing and Bertha and only 2 regulars and Ulda and Moria. So yeah, the plan was get Erebor on the siege, get Helm's Deep on the siege, get Mouth of Sauron, and none of that's gonna work. Well, I mean, okay, getting Helm's Deep on the siege can work. Nothing else. 3 moves once. I'm okay with that. I know I have Nazgul Search, and this is the perfect time to play it because I know he wants to declare Ministers. I mean, it's 10-10. Shadow's still at 0 victory points. You're at effective 3 corruption. That's not really a place where you decide, okay, I'm gonna go full throttle into Mordor. Besides, all the strongholds are very strong. So you don't really need to worry about me rushing them down. Very, very uncomfortable sieges ahead of me. But I need to start at some point. I leave one guy behind in Forts of Eisen because of Rise of Theoden, I think. Not sure it makes sense. Or maybe because I feel like, okay, if I lose this fight, or if Aragorn or whoever comes and takes Westernet and Forts of Eisen is empty, they might with Day Without, not Day Without Dawn, for a day and a night, just run into an empty Orthanc. I think that's why I block Forts of Eisen. And also because it allows me to play Half-Orcs and Goblinmen in there. Oh, nice. Riders of Theoden got played now. Oh, but this is, yeah, like, if you attack a stronghold with 3 leads and 3 leadership, things like this can happen. I only roll hit on 6s, so it's not unlikely for me to only roll a single hit, and he gets 4 hits back. And you know, if this was a game where I was low on attacks but high on musters, this wouldn't be so bad because I just can muster up a lot of leads, send them back in, and rush it down next go or something. But the problem is I don't have musters, so I like the biggest threat here is getting big armies together to do anything, and I can't do that. So this really hurts. So I try Nazgul Strike first because he doesn't have another character nor Will of the West. I'm very happy if he gives me a ring because I feel like I desperately need rings. So I'm thinking might as well try that now. If I reveal him the Nazgul Strike, then great, and if not, I can always play Nazgul Search afterwards. But I really want to preserve Nazgul Search for as long as I can, and maybe force him to not declare Ministers even next turn. But I miss. That would have been big if I reveal him here, and then next turn I also get to play Nazgul Search. Then he would waste a lot of time, or be forced to into Mordor without healing after all, which I would be happy with. I feel like corruption is definitely a much more likely outcome for me than a military victory if he is fast. And now that Nazgul Strike is gone, he can play Mithril. But yeah, he wasn't gonna play it otherwise, so. And Nazgul Strike becomes completely useless once he's in Mordor, so better try it now than never play it. And now I play Nazgul. So finally I have a turn with Must. But I have so many things I need to do. I need more Isengard elites. I need the Southrons at war. Ideally, I also want to get Mouth of Sauron. I mean, that's not happening this turn, but hopefully soon. This time he's safe, and I have nothing left to hurt him. Ah, another brutal combat. No hits from me. So despite me being low on attacks, I used the hybrid die just to muster up because, yeah, where else am I gonna attack? Nothing really makes sense here. And now that I've seen Olokai and the pressure's mounting, I decide, okay, I have to play a half Ox here because nothing else is playable. And yeah, now he moves to Minas Tirith and heal up. And so the thing is, it's turn 12, right? He hasn't even entered Mordor yet. He's on 2 corruption. So if he moves into Mordor now, and I don't hit him at all, it's still somewhat fine. I have chances to corrupt him. I mean, it's a somewhat smaller pool. It's still higher than I would like, but there are chances that I can corrupt him with this pool. And if he heals to full, then that's also fine, because that buys me 3 more turns to get, you know, stuff done militarily, and hope that he can, like, dunk in 2 or 3 turns in Mordor, because that would be too risky corruption-wise, even with him healing full. So yeah, I still have some hopes. And I've started to not roll quite as many eyes. I mean, at this point, I'm, well, still plus 12, but considering that I was at like plus 11 5 turns ago, it has stabilized. And you can see I'm threatening, you know, some areas, right? I'm threatening Erebor Woodland Realm a little bit. I'm attacking Helm's Deep. I mean, there's a discussion I had with James whether attacking Helm's Deep here was the right call. Because he feels like maybe it was not a good idea. But then I would always have to worry about Rohan threatening Orthang, threatening Dol threatening to retake Minas Tirith if I go for Minas Tirith. Like, if I don't go there, where else am I gonna get my victory points? I don't know. But anyways, next turn. I expect him not to move the Fellowship. And yeah, he attacks Westernet because he feels like I don't know if he has help and looked for, but if he does have it, then yeah, that's very. But he's not even moving in, he just wants to deplete my armies. Makes sense. Because I'm so low on musters. Yeah, I'm circling around here so that I can pressure Woodland Realm. I think that's the idea. I'm really not sure. Gives up on the whole Dwarves to War idea, which I think was the better call. I think, yeah, bring these guys into Helm's Deep makes sense, but I think Veil off the card. Well, I'm worried about this massive army from Dale striking at Dol Guldur or Moria or Mount Gundabad, and then if this army all the way up Erebor, then they can't help, and there's no real way for me to reclaim those strongholds. Which is why I moved them over, so they're closer to, my strongholds. And the good thing about the Shadow is that even though the Sauron force pool is very limited on its, you have two other nations that can help you out with the Southrons and Isengard. Well, Isengard mainly for Moria, but the Southrons for Dol Guldur, Mordor, yeah, and maybe even Mount Gundabad. So finally, Helm's Deep. Again, 16 hit point army against 7 hit point army with leadership, so it's a pretty close call, but I know the end cards are gone. And one Brave Stand is now gone, which I'm really deep. There's only single companion. Yeah, I rolled too many dice. Well, actually, why? The 2 hobbits in there? Just should have been rolling 4 dice, no? But I got 2 hits there, so yeah, I re-roll the 1 and 3, so the 6 doesn't hit. Yeah, it's just 2 hits. And he gets points back. But it's okay, I got 2 hits, so now it's 13 HP against 5. That can work. Okay, so yeah, this is a little painful, but I don't know, maybe this is a mistake. I play Orc Patrol here as a combat effect. Because he's in Minas Tirith and I can't play it anyways. And what I'm seeing is that he will heal to full, and then the card I'm afraid of is, and you might not believe me, but it's the last battle. Because it's perfectly playable here, and it's very hard for me to stop it because this army is so massive. And I risk my only mobile army if I fight it to the death. that yeah, I might not be able to get rid of it in time, and then he can get free save movement order from Ministerius, and I'll never be able to play any of the 3-tiled drawing cards before Mordor. Now I can save them for Mordor, so maybe I should do that. Then he can't heal, and the remaining hand pool is still, somewhat favorable for the tiled drawing cards, especially with one eye being removed from Challenge of the King. But since I haven't seen any of them yet, well, I haven't played any of them yet, I know that there's still 3 of them I can play, and it's very difficult to hang on to 3 cards. But I feel like it would have probably been better to play Devil of War thing. But yeah, finally I get a great round. 4 hits, and Helm's Deep is finally mine. And I get my first victory points on turn 12. Great job. So he heals again. I still allocate 1 eye because I don't want him to move 3. But then on the turn where he doesn't really want to move, I roll 3 more eyes. So this is awful timing. I would have been okay to roll 3 more eyes next turn when he's at 0 corruption and wants to move, but not this turn. And yeah, he gets a very nice roll. Lots of musters the turn before he wants to move. So you can really solidify the Osgiliath army. So I'm looking for Woodland Realm, and especially to deny the Dale army easy access anywhere else on the map. Now he scouts Woodland Realm, not looking easy to take. And he pressures a takeback on Helm's Deep. Interesting. And I use. Well, yeah. Well, the problem. Ah, man, that's so rough. I just used Dreadful Spells in Dale because I didn't really have any playable card. I definitely want to save all of these corruption cards. I definitely don't want to spend my last forward muster card on Olokai. Orcs multiplying again maybe makes sense, but I'm down to only 3 regulars in the force pool, so I don't really want to play that either. So yeah, it's the only card I wanted to. I could have played. That's rough. He tries Helm's Deep. Fortunately, it does not go his way. And yeah, now he consolidates his giant army in Osgiliath, setting up. And I see this coming, setting up the last battle. So yeah. And now I roll no ice. This, I think, is the first turn in the entire game where I did not roll an extra eye. And it comes at the only turn where he really wants to move. I mean, it's turn 14. He's still 3 moves away from Mordor. And this is like dream come true now. Just a single eye in the box. And so I see the last battle as a threat. And I see I have cruel weather, so if I hit him at all, then maybe I can do something. And what I'm thinking now, I'm not sure what I was thinking at the time, is that with the Umbar army and the North Ithilien army together, I should have enough to maybe force the Osgiliath army off. I mean, this army doesn't need to do anything Uline anymore. Done its job. keep Dale occupied. And as long as I have two mobile armies, Mordor and Umbar, I should be able to at least pressure Osgiliath. To move Nazgul around and then strike. But no, I decided to go for Helm's. Yeah, I think that's a mistake. I don't think Helm's Deep is such a pressing concern. He's only rolling 5 dice. He can't press. He needs a lot of luck to get 2 hits with 5 dice. And without an elite nor companions there's nothing that can help him. The 3 end cards have already been played, so I don't think this is it. Yeah, and I attack Woodland Run. That's definitely a mistake. So I wouldn't play like this anymore. I want him to waste. Yeah, I mean, okay, but it's not the right time. I really need to try and do something about this army. And now is not the turn where he wants to go after military victory. Because, like, all this game, I've played it super safe, and I didn't really mention this, but, well, I did mention it a bit, but not that much, but, like, my main concern was to prevent him from getting a military victory against me. And I think I've done an excellent job of, you know, covering all my bases and moving very safely. But now I'm you know starting to feel a lot more pressure because um I'm starting to run out of time. He's at 0 corruption. He can dunk in 4 turns. Like, well, actually in 3 turns. This turn plus 3. And I'm at 2 victory points. And I have no other easy stronghold left, which is a disaster. So I need to take some more risks. And since his corruption odds are so good right now, he would be very reluctant to go for a military victory here. And he doesn't really have the dice for it either with 3 Palantirs. Unlikely that now is the time he wants to go after a military victory, especially against only 1 eye in the box. So I think what I should have done is first action move Nazgul to Umbar and North Athelion, Umbar to West Toronto, and then from and also Niharat to Umbar, so there's some regulars in there, and then from Rondo attack Osgiliath. The problem is though that I'm only rolling 5 dice, no rerolls against this army. Like, I think even these 2 armies from North Athelion and Umbar combined will probably not be favorites to win against this single army. Depending on his cards, but I can play Onslaught and take 4 hits myself maybe, but yeah, I'm not even sure that fight, to be honest. But probably I should have tried. I don't know. But if I lose that, then that's definitely GG. Oh, now I attack. I mean, I think Candles of Corpses make some sense because I want the other red tile, and it's not that likely that Candles will hit against Golem. Ah. And I'm kind of desperate because, like I said, I have 2 victory points and there's no easy stronghold left to take. Like, probably the plan is to take 4 cities and, yeah, 2 more very difficult strongholds. Yeah, and he just wastes my time. Like, I attack Dale, he attacks it back. And now I try Osgiliath. Yeah, I don't. Well, actually, that's true. I didn't even need to move Nazgul around because the leadership would have been cancelled by Gandalf anyways. So initially the plan was to just send a bunch of Isengard elites over so that I will have leadership. But that plan failed because I took Rohan, And then there weren't any Isengard elites left, and now I don't have the time to muster up more and send them over. I mean, I don't even have the musters, let alone have the time to move over. So I'm gonna have to do without. I think I play Onslaught here, no? Against Bravestand. So that's probably a mistake. Should be playing Bravestand in the fortification round. But okay. Now I take 4 hits to myself and get only a single hit. That wasn't that. But the idea now is that I can reinforce this army out of Minas Morgul and Morgoth's army to Minas Morgul. That opens up Bardub, but like I said, this is not the turn where he wants to do anything about military victory. So now he plays Last Battle. This is a card that I have been anticipating like 3 or 4 turns ago. And this is like the card generally considered to be the weakest card in the Free People decks. And I would agree, but there are use cases for it. And this game here is a prime example of such use case. Because here it just basically kills, well, it doesn't kill me, but it would have been so good if I could have at least gotten 1 hit off. Roll a 3, make him enter at 2 corruption, then play a tile drawing card, and put him to like 4 corruption, and suddenly I have good chances of a corruption victory. But right now it's very likely that he'll never be hit. With only 1 eye in the box, no rerolls, and him only, like me only hitting on 6. That it's a game winner here, potentially. So yes, it's mostly useless, but then you have a very good daylight effect, and in the cases that it is useful, it's super useful. And just see how this giant Asgiliath army pulls off this entire Mordor bastion here. I mean, yes, I could have played it differently. More armies to attack and stuff, but that, like, leaves myself open to other methods of counterplay, right? I'm not sure. Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe I played it too safe here. But I'm just saying other options also carry other risks. And this is a very scary army. So now I'm thinking, is there any way that I can force them out of Asgiliath? But I also need to force them into Minas Tirith or into Free People borders so that the last battle goes away. Like if Aragorn is with an army inside a Free People nation, then last battle gets discarded. So I was hoping to maybe attack Asgiliath again and make him run back into Minas Tirith so that last battle goes away. But like with just that 1 eye, not much of a difference. Yeah, like it's pretty likely that I don't even hit him, even if he hadn't played last battle. So I moves again, and this would have hit without last battle. But yeah, power of the card. And now I play Cruel Weather. It doesn't stall the Fellowship, but at least it gives me a chance to play a foul thing. And funnily enough, without last battle, I would have scored 2 hits. And because of last battle, I scored nothing. So okay, I play a foul thing, and I get somewhat lucky and draw one of the better tiles left. So yeah, he's forced to take 2. He doesn't risk a reveal that might run into 3, and then he'd be at 4 corruption. Him entering on 2 corruption, it's not ideal for me, but it's significantly better than him entering on 0 corruption with Bilbo Song, and there is another way still in the deck. Right now, I'm definitely the underdog, but you never know. Moto with a couple of red tiles and eyes and freeze, like, and I still have Isildur Spain. Stuff can happen, right? I'm not hopeful, but and at least the last battle goes away. And this whole game, I've been plus a lot on ice. I'm still plus 11 on ice, but like the two most important turns where they really matter, last turn, turn 14, and now turn 15, I don't roll any. Right, all this game, corruption game, I roll way too many eyes, slowing my military down so much, and now they come. And he gets 3 movements. But still, I mean, he doesn't even need to sprint, right? I mean, I'm not putting any pressure on this military, so we can just move once a turn. Be happy with that. But there's always red tiles to hope for. But no, it's basically the worst tile. Like when you only have a single eye in, really don't want to see an eye. Because eyes are scary, right? Like if I ever roll a lot of eyes, then there's a good chance he might run into one. They are all removed by doing just 1 damage, then my damage potential goes down by a lot. This eye could have been 4 or 5 damage. Now it's gone, it's just 1 damage, and the remaining is not that scary anymore. There's only 2 eyes, so the only thing that's really scary is the reds. Yeah, which is not good. So I play Lure here. I mean, there's no point in waiting. I've already played Mogul Wound, so might as well play it as soon as I can. Now he doesn't rush hiding because there's nothing left where that matters. Hit all my 3 damage cards. Finally, the mouth appeared. Like, I think 5 turns ago I was talking about how I wanted to get him out early, and that hasn't really happened because Dale was too threatening. Yeah. At least at this point, I don't think a military victory for him will happen anymore. But it's always possible, right? If I expose myself too much, him being fine on corruption, I can always switch. I can't open up too much. Besides, there's no easy target where you would say, "Oh, I can just rush him." Like, where are 8 victory points coming from? At this point, I really have to hope that Mordor is going to be super painful for him, and that somehow battles go massively in my favor. I still will continue to play it very safe. Yeah, he has Bilbo Song, no real surprise here. Turn 15. And I want to go after the Lamroth because I don't think he has any more elites left. Yeah, he doesn't. At least not for Rohan, Gondor. So that seems significantly easier than Minas Tirith. Puts me up to 5 victory points. So Dol Amroth and Helm's Deep and 4 cities would put me at 8 victory points. Most, right? And now, like, after 2 turns of not rolling any ice, I suddenly have 6 of them. And just imagine, like, with 1 more eye, you would have 4 out of 12 tiles being ice. That would be really scary. But 3 out of 12, him having Mithril, I mean, that's still a little scary. But as long as it's not eye into eye, just take it, right? Nothing happening. And you can consider just not moving at all. Like having 2 effective corruption on step 1, or then don't move at all, 3 effective corruption on step 1. It's not that bad. I mean, against 4 eyes, it's a little scary, but it's definitely doable. He musters up Lorien a bunch, threatening military victory, which I respect. And since I don't see this army taking any victory points in Dale and you, I move it back to be safe. So my hope now is that he commits the military victory, and in the process of that, leaving himself open. Like if he gives me Lorien and I take the Lamroth and Helm's Deep, I'm at 6, 7 victory points. And I only need one more stronghold. And now the Elven Force Pool is basically empty, so maybe Rivendell. I'm not sure I agree with that attack. And crucially, I did keep one forward master card, Ulokai, which I play right here, yeah. Like, there's no reason to rush Isildur Spain. There's some argument to be made to wait until he puts more blue tiles in, where you have a better chance of not drawing an eye. Yeah, he's going for military victory now. At least a little. Odd. Yeah, and against 6 eyes, he gets a blue tile. And now I'm feeling really hopeless. But I mean, what else can you do, right? I mean, if you're in a situation like this, you gotta hope for the Reds. Right? Nothing else has been working this game. So it would be nice if now is the moment for it to change. And finally, I get a pretty good roll. I mean, yeah, no Palantirs, only single characters. Maybe not ideal, but there's nothing I really play right now, right? Till this Bane, I can always play that on step 4 if need be. And I only have 2 more character cards in my deck. So yeah, he wisely defends Minister somewhat because, I mean, with 4 red tiles in the pool, there is a possibility that he will just run out of steam after all. He runs into like red into eye into red. That would be 2 turns of him not making much progress. So maybe I can win, and especially if he has a turn where he rolls like almost no movement. Yeah, so suddenly at least the sieges look winnable, right? Not likely to win quickly without reinforcements, but I mean, this is 7 HP against 6, which is likely that I win it. And with Corsairs of Umbar, I can reinforce. And this is 12 HP against 6, but against the companion. So also doable. Especially now that Gandalf is gone, right? Yeah, I get 4 hits on the first round. That's great. And I take the Lamroth and 1 die. So finally, a red tile shows up. And now here's the thing, right? Peter considered this. Do you use Mithril Coat and Sting here? The generally would say, okay, best red tile you see, you use it. But then, I mean, him being so fine on corruption, with still plenty of time to dunk the ring, this is like least scary red tile in the game. If you use Mithril now and run into another red, like then you start having problems. 4 red still in the pool. More likely that Mithril will pull another red. So it makes some sense to tank the first one and ongoing, so you still have Mithril in the back when you need it. And so he decides to tank it, which I think is the right call. Yes, I'm at 5 victory points now, but I mean, Pelagia I can't hold if he has Batman. Might just retake Helm's Deep with army. He still has a lot of time. So finally, things go my way. At least Strife with 5 hits. And Ministerious is mine. And suddenly I'm at 7 victory points, but that looks a little more promising than it is really, because, I mean, Lorraine not as free as it looks with this giant army here. And Helm's Deep is by no means secure. And I don't really have a way to reinforce it. And yeah, he does exactly that. They reinforce Helm's Deep and take it back and abandon the military shenanigans defense. I break free, thinking about Rivendell. 4 leads, and the Elven Force Pool looking this, weak. Rivendell is definitely an option. So we're going to turn 18 now. My deck's almost empty. He just still has some cards left. And I get a roll with only 1 eye, which is scary, but at the same time, I need reds anyways to have a chance. Like, I'm not winning on corruption without the help of reds. So at least this is a turn where I can threaten to do stuff, right? So it's not too bad for me. Yeah, he moves armies, threaten a take back on Helm's Deep. Alright, and Power of Tom Bombadil is still on the table, which is why I'm a little hesitant with my movement here. Yeah. Which forces me to move around like this. They have Shadows Gather, Shadows Lengthen. I can do some sneaky things. Maybe. We're just threatening, yeah, Grey Havens and the Shire, the Moria army, giving up 2 victory points. But I mean, losing 2 victory points, like 3 people victory points, is not the end of the situation like this, where he's about to dunk the ring anyways. So now is the right time to abandon my Shadow Stronghold. And yeah, interestingly enough, Peter decides to also tank this. So I run into a second red, which I'm very happy about, because suddenly I feel like, okay, maybe I can race him after all if he rolls slow movement next turn. And this is a fine tile corruption-wise, because there's only 1 eye. So it's okay to tank it if you're worried about corruption. But at the same time, it's one of the 2 most scary tiles in terms of speed, which could be an issue if he rolls slow movement next turn, because I am threatening a win next turn. Like, if he doesn't take back Helm's Deep, yeah, she will, but probably. But then I can Shadows Gather into here, attack, take Stronghold, up to 9 victory points. But he tanks it anyways. Oh no, actually, oh, I'm sorry. He does use Mystery here. Yeah, okay, makes sense. And this tile is so much better than, yeah, okay. Because he was all moving back and taking the corruption, and I remember, but then I remembered falsely. I thought he tanked more than one tile despite having Mithril. But I think this is the correct call, even though the eye only hits for one. But you're not really worried about corruption anymore, unless you run into Shelob. So yeah, I Shadows Gather, I attack Grey Havens, and he moves. And now it's Shelob, right? So that's very lucky. So I've, despite not having the ice at the right times, suddenly I run into, will make him run into 3 reds, so that's great. But it's Shelob too, so not that scary. Yeah, maybe Grunt here is a bit overkill, but I want to make sure that I have enough left over to also take the Shire, that I can really win next turn. I think it makes sense in Grunt there. And where else am I going to use it, right? Right, turn 19. I'm at 9 victory points, but I'm about to lose Helm's Deep. Like, there's almost no way that I can survive against that army. And I have nothing to reinforce it. But I have an army here that might threaten to take back or threaten to take Edoras. The issue is, yeah, where are the remaining victory points coming from, right? I don't have an army in Dew anymore, so the 4 cities are not an option. He might still have Deadman of Tanharrow, so Helge isn't safe. And he has kept a single Gondor regular, which means he can always take it back. Like, if there's no Gondor regular, he can't take control of Pelagi. He can only force me away, but that doesn't really help him. So, yeah. Basically, the idea is to I hope he doesn't roll movement next turn, and then somehow have enough time to get, I don't know, this army to take Edoras, and these guys go up here or something. Have very long odds. Or take back Helm's Deep after he reclaims it. That's another option. I get rid of Bombadil because I need another city. But, yeah. Yeah. So winning Helm's Deep is very difficult. Maybe I should have saved Grant for this situation and hope to get lucky. So the good thing is Mouth of Sauron is there, so I have some leadership. But I really need to win this turn. Because there's some chance. There's 2 reds still left. He doesn't roll a lot of movement. But he can try this turn and then next turn. Yeah, it's looking very rough. But at least I threaten to win this turn. Because I might win Helm's Deep, even though it's very unlikely. And then I can win the game. If he doesn't have Deadman. Well, actually, even if he has Deadman, because Strider will be gone if I win in Helm's Deep. So yeah, he moves, and he hits the 3rd, well, actually the 4th red tile. Give it to us, which is good. Like I said, corruption's not an issue anymore, but time might be. If he doesn't roll any movement next turn, already used, there is another way, then, I can win next turn. And even if he does roll movement, I might still win. He runs another red tile. And so yeah, now I threaten a win. Because suddenly I have a 13 HP army against a 6 HP army. I have 4 rerolls for the 2 Isengard elites and the Mouth of Sauron. I just didn't have playable cards. So yeah, it's always tough taking sieges without any cards to play. My army is more than twice his size, so it's possible. And I'm happy, like, with the way the game started, that I'm in this position, right? I mean, I got lucky in order that he ran into 4 reds. But what other out did I have, right? You have to play to your outs, and I think that's the only the only thing that I could have done. And I'm rewarded with a shot at winning the game here. I'm always happy that even if I lose, if I at least had a chance to win, especially in games that were very tough, like this one. I'm happy to be here. But yeah, battle does not really start that well. But at least he doesn't hit too hard either. And I'm desperate, I'm pressing. Nothing else I can do. But again, 0 hits. I mean, I don't think I was favored to win that fight. Yeah, 2 rounds with hits. Very proof. So now with him getting 4 more hits, there's no way I can. And yeah, that is that is the game now. I mean, Cruel Isildur Spain is my last hope. The Spain into 3, put him to 9, then maybe I can win. But yeah, Isildur Spain hit a 1. Um, and that means he wins the game. And yeah, that is my most epic game, I would say, because I mean it went 20 turns. And despite me always feeling on the back foot, like there were a lot of situations that had they gone a little different, I think the game would have looked very different, right? I mean, if you remember um, the turn where he played the last battle with me only having a single eye, imagine there were 3 eyes in there. It 3 moves against 3 eyes hitting on 6s. Like if the first move hits and reveals him, then it's a whole different game. Then maybe I play 2 tile drawing cards, and maybe I can even stall him with Cruel Weather then. And it would also almost certainly take him more time. Like I would have had 1 more turn, probably. He would have been high on corruption. Corruption would have been a thing. And remember the 6-eye turn in Mordor. Like if he runs into an eye then instead of a blue tile and uses Mithril on that, suddenly the reds become much more dangerous. So, like, even though the start was very bad and Peter really pushed me on my back foot throughout the entire game, like, if you look at the game state here and some of the other situations, it was a very close game after all. Um, so yeah, that's why, even though it always felt bad, I also always had, some hope of things maybe going right, and I came pretty close, all things considered. So even though I lost this one, it was an amazing game against an amazing opponent. And then yeah, like this is one of those crazy games, right? Where 3 people muster up everywhere. I mean, look at the 3 people force pool. There's only the dwarfs left and that 1 Gondor regular for when he maybe gets Deadman. I take Grey Havens and the Shire, all of Gondor, but it's still not enough. He reclaimed Helm's Deep. Yeah, nothing happened in the G line. Also very uncommon. Just a very, very unusual game. Very interesting to play it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have ideas, what I could have done differently, I'd be very curious to hear it. I mean, I think I pointed out one maybe mistake on my part, but you know,
when this Rune army was here and I wanted to attack Erebor, but I think it was correct not to do it. Yeah. Well, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a nice day and see you soon. Bye bye.